U.S. and China agreed to lower tariffs for 90 days while trade talks continue. We'll have more on the breakthrough and the reaction from the White House. And an update on 2 local deputies who were stabbed by an inmate, what we know about the investigation into that attack.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at Noon.
Well, thank you for joining us for your 5 News at Noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Stephen Elmore. It sounds like the big story for the week is that it's going to be feeling a lot warmer in just a few days.
Yeah, just a few days, or tomorrow, actually, we're going to be dealing with temperatures already climbing up into those mid to upper 80s. By Wednesday, I think we have a few low 90s out there. As for today, really not too bad. This afternoon shaping up to be pretty nice outside. Yes, we're dealing with some clouds here and there, but overall, I think a lot of us are seeing mostly sunny skies out there right now, especially further east you live. That's where a lot of that cloud coverage is at right now. Parts of Carroll, parts of Madison, Johnson, Logan, Scott County. Really, that's where the cloud coverage is. But you see, it's actually starting to recede further off towards the east. So parts of Benton, parts of Washington, Crawford into Sebastian, definitely parts of eastern Oklahoma, seeing lots of sunshine out there this afternoon. Now, there's still a chance for a few spotty showers by the time we get to, let's say, later on this afternoon into the evening hours. But as we talked about this morning, we knew that any coverage for today was going to be on the lower end of things. Not everybody was going to see those rain chances. You take a look there in Fort Smith, actually. Pretty nice out there right now, seeing mostly blue skies. So some clouds still for today. I think there's still a chance for a few spotty showers here and there, but don't expect much. Heating up, though, the rest of the week, back up into the 80s and for the 90s as well. That'll be the first time this season. By the time we get to the weekend, some storm chances come back into the forecast. Futurecast shows us this. Here's a look at 4:30 this evening. We still have the chance of maybe a few spotty showers, a few of those isolated thunderstorms here and there. Overall, the coverage isn't going to be great, and those rain chances start to wrap up by the time we get later on this evening. Going into the rest of the day today, daytime highs still going to reach up into those mid to upper 70s, low 80s across the river valley. Again, by the time we get to this evening, maybe a few more of those scattered shower chances for us. Now, tomorrow and our Wednesday, that's when it's going to be warm. That's when it's going to be muggy outside. We'll talk about it coming up.
Thanks, Stephen. Well, new at noon, the last living American hostage held by Hamas has been released. Israeli-American Edan Alexander has been held in Gaza since the October 7th attack. Alexander was serving with Israel's military when Hamas fighters abducted him in those 2023 attacks more than 19 months ago. Alexander was released to Steve Witkoff, America's special envoy to the Middle East. Well, stocks surged at the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange as investors reacted to the news of a tariff breakthrough between the U.S. and China. Both sides have agreed to lower their tariffs as negotiations continue over the next 3 weeks. Natalie Brand reports.
President Trump is touting a temporary trade deal with China, even as the toughest part of negotiations are still ahead.
The talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China.
Under the agreement, the U.S. will lower its 145% tariff on Chinese goods to 30%. The retaliatory tariff China imposed on the U.S. will come down to 10% for 90 days while talks continue.
The biggest thing that we're discussing is the opening up China, and they've agreed to do that. But it's going to take a while to paper it. You know, that's not the easiest thing to paper.
Ongoing negotiations are expected to address the U.S.'s nearly $300 billion trade deficit with China, unfair trade practices, and fentanyl.
As long as there is good faith effort, engagement, and constructive dialogue, then we will keep moving forward.
The president also announced this morning a new executive order aimed at reducing the price of prescription drugs by trying to match U.S. prices to what other countries pay.
Basically, what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize.
Experts say the U.S. currently pays roughly 3 times as much as other developed countries.
With this new policy, what we call the most favored nation policy, would mean that the United States would pay no more than the lowest price paid by a high-income country.
The president tried to implement the plan in his first term, but was blocked by the courts. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The pharmaceutical industry issued a statement calling this a bad deal for American patients. Drug manufacturers say the directive could limit access to medication for Americans, would likely lead to cutbacks in research for new drugs. And less than a week into his new role, Pope Leo XIV is starting the week speaking to thousands of journalists at the Vatican in what's become a common practice for incoming popes. From the balcony at St. Peter's Basilica, he also addressed a crowd of an estimated 100,000 faithful and many more watching around the world.
Buongiorno. Good morning, and thank you for this wonderful reception. They say when they clap at the beginning, it doesn't matter much. If you're still awake at the end and you still want to applaud, thank you very much.
The Chicago-born Pope is known for speaking out, often sharing his views online. Those close to him say his global experience will shape his leadership. And a jury has been selected in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The disgraced hip-hop mogul has pleaded not guilty to charges including sex trafficking, bribery, and obstruction of justice. If Combs is convicted on all charges, he faces a mandatory 15 years in prison and could remain behind bars for life. Well, this afternoon, we expect to hear from Sebastian County officials about the condition of two deputies who were stabbed by an inmate late last week. Police will hold a news conference at 2 this afternoon to release the deputies' identities and provide an update on their conditions. We'll be live streaming that press conference on 5+. Now, right now, we know that one deputy underwent surgery on Friday. We've learned they've since been moved out of the ICU and are now on the road to recovery. The other deputy was treated and released from the hospital on Friday. Investigators say this man right here, an inmate named John Anthony Cole, used a shank to stab the deputies inside the Sebastian County Jail. He's already been sentenced to prison for a murder in Arizona and is awaiting trial for another murder that happened in Fort Smith. He remains in custody and will continue bringing you any developments on new charges filed against him for the stabbing. Meanwhile, voters in Fort Smith are deciding if a sales tax extension should help pay for federally required sewer system upgrades. Early voting continues today with Election Day set for tomorrow. The proposed ordinance would extend a sales tax through 2059 to fund sewer improvements and repay bonds. City leaders say if it fails, higher sewer rates may follow. Fort Smith agreed in 2022 to cap sewer rate hikes at 3.5% annually through 2030. Well, now to our continuing coverage in Jefferson County, where local leaders are hoping to finalize and approve the 2025 budget today. This comes after months of debate and not being able to finalize the budget, causing a judge to step in. It also led to a time where county workers went unpaid. As members went through 3 readings of the proposal, they eventually approved the budget, and now just one step remains: the judge's signature.
Myself and the other 7 JPs, we're trying to move Jefferson County forward, and there is no agenda behind it other than to help the county. We hope that he does not veto the budget, but we'll take it one day at a time.
As they wait for the judge's signature, if he opts not to sign it within 7 days, it will still become law. Well, Mother's Day was tough for some travelers at Newark Liberty Airport due to radar outages and some other technical problems that caused a number of flight delays. This time, an important backup system momentarily failed. CBS's Chris Van Cleve has more on these ongoing issues.
For the third time in less than 2 weeks, a system outage at the FAA facility handling flights coming in and out of Newark Airport. This latest outage only adding to the ripple effect of delays and cancellations due to the ongoing FAA staffing issues. On Sunday morning, the FAA says a backup system momentarily failed, leading the controllers to order a 45-minute ground stop. 2 days earlier, screens at that same facility went black for about 90 seconds.
Our scope shift went black again.
Controllers had trouble communicating with planes approaching Newark a little before 4 a.m. Friday. That outage happened during a particularly slow time. But 2 weeks ago, April 28th, a similar 90-second outage happened when the skies were full of planes.
This situation cannot last. We need all hands on deck at the FAA. Make Newark number 1.
We have to fix this because what you see in Newark is going to happen in other places across the country.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is expected to head to Capitol Hill this week, trying to sell lawmakers on his plan to overhaul the air traffic control system within 4 years at a price tag of tens of billions of dollars.
Specifically in Newark, we believe we're going to have it up and running in short order. We're going to be able to fix that glitch.
United CEO Scott Kirby told Face the Nation flying is safe even with these outages, but upgrades are needed.
But what we do is slow the whole system down, which is disruptive to customers, but it's entirely safe. Well, we need to upgrade the system to actually make it world class.
Secretary Duffy says the work to upgrade that problematic FAA facility should be completed sometime this summer, but there may be incremental improvements sooner than that. The secretary is set to meet with the nation's airlines about reducing delays at Newark this week. That likely means cutting some flights. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.